Welcome to the Ideal Spaces Working Group podcast.
Hello, we are glad that we can speak today with a video performance artist and internationally active and renowned video performance artist from New York, Aysha Quinn. And perhaps you can say some words about you, your art, and this would be very nice as an introduction.
Okay, sure. My name is Aysha Quinn, and as an artist, I emerged out of the Long Beach, California, or called Southern California, eco-feminist video performance genre. I came into video as a performer from stage and television, film, rather than out of the art world. I came into the art world a couple of years after I started shooting video with some other people on the Venice canals a few years before. I was shooting documentary lifestyle tapes. I was shooting with Greenpeace Z-boat operators in the Santa Monica Bay. And then I entered the world of video art when I discovered it. My work is mostly very personal, started out very personal. I was raising two children without child support. I was being someone's girlfriend, working a full-time job, making art, and video worked much better for me than film because I could fit that all in. As busy as I was, my work was mostly about my trying to get through, to get through life, sort of balancing the profane with the mystical, and living a good life as well as getting along on the earth and caring about the environment and what we do leaving children. And also I wanted to demystify television. So that's...
Yeah, this is a very interesting introduction. What is your attempt, or has been your attempt, to demystify television?
Well, I was raised in Washington, D.C., and I had to live through the JFK assassination as a very, very young woman. And I had to live with the so-called news that was in every conversation on every radio channel, television channel, bus stop dialogues, newspaper, magazine for well over a year, with reports that were obviously bogus. I mean, I don't know that anyone out there actually believes the single bullet theory. I don't know. And I had learned earlier, when I was about 14, I learned about news in the newspapers by trying to help a reporter who had gotten a story wrong, which I happened to witness, and I called her up. I was 14, I was very encouraged, and I called her up and gave her all the details of what I had witnessed, and she thanked me profusely. And the next day, the story came out completely different. She made up an entirely different story or drama or whatever she wanted, or she didn't comprehend anything I said. There was nothing I said that was in the article the next day. So I sort of had the gist of, no, I don't want to be a journalist and whatever. I think that television needed to be demystified. And so I always, not always, but often in performance, I used, in those days, monitors. We had these very large monitors. and I'd have them on stage with me, and they would be elements. They might be fire, they might be swirling black water, they might be another persona. I would play different characters and record them. And I did the switching on stage for the audience to see, to watch when I went over and to the patch panel and moved the switching around and something different came up. They got to see all of that. And I mean, I believe that part, on that level, that part of my job is done. Everybody has video. But, with the way things are going, we still don't know what's real. So it's just not what's real in a different way now,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me ask you, we met with you here in Germany. You met with Ulrich Gaiman and myself, Grant Raynham from Ideal Spaces. And we saw some of your art, and I must say your art is really excellent. I mean, there's a quality to your art that separates it from a lot of artists that are around the world. And what would you say are the essential components that constitute your art today? What you're doing today?
I think that my art today is twofold. It's switched a little bit, okay? Like back in the 70s, I made some very ugly videos. The fight. I mean, the fight is really hard to watch. I made dramatic, angry things to reveal to say, these are the things that happen. These are, this is the ugly side, and we may as well show it. These days, I'm interested in creating calming, soothing environments, and I'm interested in storytelling. I have many decades now, we don't have to count them, of living, and I'm kind of a reincarnationist, so I look at life from what happened way back and what's going forward and what changed, how was I guided, why did this happen, what did I develop, what skills did I learn, what was the value, was that karma, is there something good about that? So I'm interested in that kind of storytelling, which is part of performance. But in terms of, and that's about healing. That's about getting people to stop looking at everything that occurs in life as, which appears difficult at the time, as some sort of tragedy that one must dwell in forever and try to heal from, rather than to look at a larger, wider, widen the lens and look at the larger picture. And then in terms of environments, I am looking for healing, to provide healing environments. And I've done some of that through the years as well. Chariot Chamber in particular was one. Reflections is another one, where I look to create a quiet, healing environment, because I just, the world is chaotic enough now that I don't need to spend my time going into art galleries to look at more chaos, fragmented, dying, screaming, painful stuff. I think we need to calm ourselves, and we need to think straight, and we need to heal. And that's my focus these days.
So you're dynamic, because we were discussing this with you. There's a combination of like audio, video, music. It's a beautiful piece of art that literally has movement and energy, and then you combine music with that. Do you think you'll continue with that dynamic? Is that the same direction you'll continue in the near future on that?
Are you talking about Reflections?
Yes.
There's no music.
No.
In Reflections.
Okay.
No. Sacha Fayonne, he is a classically trained musician, etc. But he's also a sound engineer. So that's just his manipulation, shall we say, of the waves, of the lap of water. There's been no music added. It may sound musical. That's actually just the immersive open air soundscape that he created out of the original audio. But yeah, I like music. I can see having music in things.
Related to this specific way of your art, we discussed also about when we met you, and what you said about the need for a harmonic art. And as far as I understood it, and if I understood it properly, it's a cosmic aspect of art. What about the notion of beauty? This is a very old idea in Occidental art. What do you think about the notion of beauty related to this aspect, of art as harmony, of art as a good atmosphere opposed to a chaotic environment, to use a metaphor? No? What do you think about beauty in art?
I'm not sure quite how to answer that. I think everybody's idea of beauty is individual. I have seen many things, even on Facebook, that everybody's saying, "Oh, beautiful." Yeah, it doesn't look beautiful to me. And so, and the opposite, I think something is beautiful and others don't. I think that beauty is a wonderful thing. Depends on how shallow is it, how deep is it natural? And I think along with what is beauty is what is real, what is real anymore. And how do we define reality? Well, how do we define real? I mean, how do we even define? So I'm not sure. I mean, I think nature is beautiful. Some people are bored by it. There was a time I lived in Park City, Utah, and I would just lie on the ground with my very heavy 26-pound Sony camera and shoot up at the trees, moving in the sky. And I always felt that video environments would be important in the future, to have beautiful, calm things available in your home to see, other than crime and murder on television.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you talk about reality. I mean, today, art is very specific, and artists are very particular about what they do. But we've seen the introduction of AI into the art world. And from your point of view, how do you look at that introduction? Is it something that you think steps on the artist, or is it something that can be worked on to create new things by the artist?
I think both of those are possible. I mean, I don't think we know yet. I watch videos on that people have made that are hilarious on Facebook about Chat GPT. If you give it a whole bunch of information that's totally bogus, it'll support you and fill in the story for you and tell you you're absolutely right, and it's not right at all. So there's a great deal of danger of misinformation. There's also a great deal of, who's got the copyright, and what's real. I don't know how to define what's real. I mean, I did a performance once called No Earth Station, which was about sort of being trapped in some spaceship, let's say, after a Holocaust. And so the only way to relate to nature was through these videos, and I would be videotaped trying and then put into the picture of a tree as I appeared to try to be climbing and sitting in the tree, to have have that. Is that AI? Is that early AI? How far back did this go before we named it AI?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's too early to say. I don't know. I mean, I think it's great for research. I don't know what I don't use it, so I don't know. I mean, unless I don't know I'm using it, I don't know what to say. I mean, one person accused me of so much solarization on one of my video landscapes, and I said, "There's no solarization whatsoever. That's the original picture." And he was just shocked. He couldn't believe that it hadn't been. Would that have been AI? That level of solarization? I'm not academic in regards of technical aspects and what began when and what leads to what. So I can't answer all of those questions, but I'm interested, confused, have no idea what to believe.
Let's talk about, you talked a little bit earlier about, your art as being something that had a spirituality to it, that was a reflective type of art, that's something that would give people peace of mind, for instance, we could say. In looking at your art, what do you feel is the social role that your art is playing?
Just what I see and what I do. I mean, it's very personal. I don't know what role I play. I don't define. I mean, I never wrote that about myself coming out of the eco-feminist video performance genre. Someone else writes those things. Someone else writes usually about us, what our role is. I think that artists are artists because they must be. It's calling. I guess people have, well, yes, all right. So there's one story that I have, which when my children were very small, I had the television on one time. This is in the early 70s. And I saw a cigarette commercial where the guy was lighting up his Marlboro or his Camel, I forget which, and enjoying it tremendously on a whaling ship as they were pulling the whale up out of the water. And I was like, that's it. That's it. I'm going to put things on television, even if that I'm willing to see and willing to let my children see sometimes. Even if it's only in my own living room. I wanted some control over what was there. And that again is part of the demystification, being involved in it. And my role at this point is just to document and be honest about life and to seek consciousness. When I started in the video art world, I don't think very few people would argue with this. It was very shallow. There were a few of us who were reaching for consciousness raising or consciousness exploring or something like that within our work, but it wasn't easy to do it all. I would say Bill Viola, who was a good friend of mine back in the 70s in Venice, opened that door for us. Bill became very well known, and Bill opened the door for depth, for something other than, I don't know, an art show that was 7 different people's bundles of sticks around the room, which to me I couldn't relate to. I'm sure that offends somebody. I don't mean to. I'm sorry. It's just not what I felt helped me to see. But for instance, I'm interested in what these others were interested in. the places that lie in between, the place in between the in-breath and the out-breath, in between awake and asleep, in between alive and death, in exploring my own consciousness, my own development, in learning as much as I can, and trying to portray some of these conflicts, if you call them, or finding time to do these apply these searching techniques, journeys into, cleaning the toilets and scrubbing the floors and cooking dinner, and holding down jobs, trying to find the depth of life. And I believe that's kind of what I bring to it. Somebody once wrote about me, actually, here, that media was never the primary interest for Aysha Quinn. Primary to her artistic intentions was always this subject matter of divinity and profanity at odds with getting through life on Earth. And what her performances do in that regard is alter the entire sense of what it takes in order to make one's way, and not step by step, but in truer circumstances by hyperleaps from one point to another. So I think that perfectly, thank you, Peter Barton, for writing that. It helped me to understand what it is I do.
Mm-hmm. In these regards, what you think, what is the mission of your art, in your personal view as an artist, and related, what makes your art important, or could make it important? When you speak about consciousness, it could be possible, as a question, that art is also influencing the consciousness of other people, of the people seeing the art, of the people thinking about your art. How this relates in your perspective? No?
You lost me there. How?
What makes your art important in your own opinion about your art?
Well, my art is important to me because the process is what's important.
Yeah.
I mean, what does it matter if you do this process and it amounts to nothing? It doesn't matter. It's about the process. If you have something, then you show it to people and it has meaning to them, then maybe it's important to them too. I don't want, it's too hard walking down the streets with all the craziness that's going on to keep duplicating that and putting it in the art world. In my mind, it's time to I'm an eco-feminist. This means you have to start to pay attention to the planet. And that's what ecofeminism is. It's not about a woman, any woman, because many women are unfortunately more representative of the patriarchy than many men. So I don't vote for anybody just because it's a woman, etc. So I'm talking about ecofeminism, which means seek consciousness, seek increased awareness, use of a larger part of the brain, reaching across the aisle, trying to connect in ways that are possible with other sides. We seem to have sides, which there's got to be a place in between the sides, like in between the in-breath and the out-breath. It's got to be a place in between this side and that side. And that's what I feel is important to me to provide. Whether it's important to anyone else, I have no idea.
Yes, I see. And this aspect of the patriarchy, I think it's a very fundamental aspect. It's about a certain worldview related to patriarchy and a certain way of trying to dominate the world. to dominate the being, and then ecofeminism appears in a new perspective. Okay.
Well, it shouldn't be a new perspective, and you know, I've begun to tell some art directors that I've known for many, many years, since the 70s, you know, and I've told them quite frankly, I'm about to put my foot down. I'm a little tired of eco-feminist consciousness seeking art being an outsider, being pushed aside. Look at where this has delivered us. You know, it's time to pay attention and to calm down and to get along and find, you know, to where we can hear our own heart, not banging away with anxiety, to where we notice we're breathing, we don't forget to exhale. It's important for the development of the planet and everything, the human beings wake up, you know.
Mm-hmm. Good.
So therefore, would you say that the art that you've been doing is a wake-up call for the planet, for society?
I hope so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, my first videos were, you know, me out in a Z-boat in the Santa Monica Bay with a Greenpeace volunteer. I mean, these were some of the most incredible people I'd ever met. You know, they'd work 9 months at some really, you know, crappy factory job that they could leave in order to go volunteer 3 or 4 months around the planet to try and save the oceans, etc. So that was my intention back then, and I think it's still very important that people pay attention. If you go back and look at any of my early work, a lot of it is set in nature or at the beach or water, you know, something like that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, is there anything else to wrap this interview up? Is there anything else that you would like to state that you think's of relevance to your art and yourself?
No, I can't think of much that I haven't covered here. If you think there's anything I haven't said, maybe you should tell me. So I think you asked me one question about what makes something about art a dynamic art. Yeah, and I think that's what, you know, that just goes back to, yes, I was always into healing and nature and the earth and ecofeminism, but the beauty of video was, you know, the instantaneousness of it, that you could also be recording and projecting simultaneously, that it's video, sound, it's projection, it's interactive. Now you can have very interactive personal involvement walking through an installation. I think that's important. And I think that's about all that I can think of to say.
Okay. You know, we just want to say from our part that we appreciate your time, but also that we appreciate what we looked at your art and when we discussed it here. And, you know, we wish you really, really good luck, and we hope you have a great future with your art, because we think it makes a really good statement. So, and we appreciate that very much.
Thank you very, very much.